Are heat presses any good? Could this little thing really be better than your iron? Stay tuned to find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Nostalgic Nick-Nacks. My name is Ryan and this is my retro gaming Perler Beading YouTube channel. Today I thought I'd do something a little different and talk to you about the heat presses that I use on a daily basis when I am ironing my Perler Beading projects. I hope this video is beneficial to you and it gives you a lot of information on the ins and outs of heat presses and why I use them and why I think they are necessary for all Perler bead crafters out there. Some people have great success in using a plain Jane iron, but me, once I found the heat presses, there was no going back. You'll see how the heat press does such a great job, and hopefully it will encourage you to get your own heat press and be successful with your Perler beading projects. I did try to iron Perler bead projects with a standard traditional iron, and I found it so difficult to really get an even melt with this iron. Some people have really great success with it, but I found that it was just too much trouble for what it was worth. I heard people say that you had to put it on the wool setting or the cotton setting, or just make sure that you put it on the acrylic setting. There were all these rules about what you do, what setting you put it on, how lightly you press it. It was just too convoluted for my taste. Yeah, and then you have to make sure you don't have water in the tank. It was just too much to mess with. I respect anybody who uses an iron for Perler beading. It just isn't for me. What I was looking for was a more simplified way to iron my beads. Something that was specialized just for Perler beads. And I found it in the Cricut Mini. You can see that the bottom is absolutely flat. And don't worry, I have this iron turned off so it is cold to the touch. But make sure to not burn yourself with this thing because it does get quite hot. So the Cricut Mini has a completely flat base and is perfect for Perler beading. It has a flat bottom, and just for comparison's sake, here is the big standard iron and the differences, the size difference here. You can see how small the Cricut Mini heat press is, but the regular iron has these ridges on it, and I found that those ridges would actually knock over my Perler beads before they were ironed together. So it was too heavy to press on and move around. It just didn't work for me. But the Cricut Mini is so lightweight, very easy to glide it across your projects. So how hot does the Cricut Mini get? Is it just for show? Is it a little toy? Or does it actually contain some heat once it's turned on? Well, I can tell you from about 2 years of experience of using the Cricut Mini heat press that it gets quite hot. So how hot does it get? Well, according to Cricut's website, the low setting, which would be this setting, the low setting, it's about 255 to 280 degrees, 280. And then the second setting, we're getting up to about 320 to 355. And then on the third setting, you're getting all the way up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Really, really strong heat coming out of this thing. It does get quite hot. So again, be careful with these things. They are lightweight, but they are dangerous because they heat up very strongly, and they heat up very quickly. So this heat press will heat up to that third level in about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and it's ready before you know it. I set it, and then before I know it, it's already turned on. So what is the Cricut Mini used for with perler beading? I would say mainly for small to medium-sized projects. Usually with the Cricut Mini, I am ironing something that's on the standard pegboard. The other heat press that I use for my perler beading projects is this heat press here. And it's actually just called heat press on Amazon. That it does not really have a brand name at all. It's really great though, and it works very well. Just like the Cricut Mini, it heats up pretty quickly. Not as quickly as the Cricut Mini, but within 5 minutes, it's heated up. And this one has a nice flat base to it. You can see. And again, you can see the difference between it and the traditional iron. You have a flat base, no ridges anywhere. If you can iron on this, you can iron a perler bead project on the tip of it, in the middle of it, on the sides, on the bottom. It has a whole plate heating to it. All the places are heated through. And I've done this. I've done some detailing on perler bead projects where I just had to get that little corner and get that little bead melted together, and it did the trick. This also has 3 heat settings, and it gets up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, plenty hot enough to iron any perler beads together. Something that both of these irons have in common is that as they heat up quickly, they also will go off, they will turn off on their own after a while. It's a safety thing that both of them have, and most of the heat presses on the market will turn off after you haven't used them for a while. So it's very important to have that safety feature. One more thing that these have that regular irons don't tend to have is they have a nice cradle that you can fit the iron in when you're not using it. And you can put this thing on a wooden desk, on a metal desk, and it's not going to harm anything. So really great to have that. The bigger one actually features a mat, and that mat will go under the cradle, and then your iron goes into the mat. So it works very well. I've used it plenty and no damage to my desk. So how big are these heat presses? Well, I have my measuring tape and we're going to measure. So it looks like the Cricut Mini is about 3.5 inches long, and it's circular but about 1.5 inches wide, very small. And for comparison's sake, here's my smartphone and here is the iron. You can see that it fits right on the smartphone. Now as far as the other one goes, it's measuring about 6 inches long and coming in at about 3.5 inches wide. So quite a bit more surface area there. And for comparison again, let's look at, so it is bigger than my phone. So that's a little information about these heat presses. Now I'm going to show you a demo of hands-on how to use these heat presses to have successful melted perler art. So let's get to that. Okay, so here you can see I have a Ninja from Super Mario Bros. 2. I've got him ready to be ironed. Now I'm going to use my Cricut Mini, and I'm going to heat it up to the highest heat setting. That's always the perfect heat setting for perler bead melting. So it's going to be about 2 minutes, and I'll see you when it heats up. Alright, it looks like the Cricut Mini is heated up, and this plate is super hot right now. So let's get started with the melting. I just love using the Cricut Mini. I can't go without it. And like I said, what's so really great about the Cricut Mini is that it has that flat bottom to it. Every part of it is heated through, and you can see it's already heating it up. I tried so many times with a regular iron, and it was so frustrating to me. And more power to anybody who can use a regular iron to do this. It just wasn't working out for me. I can see how all the beads are melting together very nicely. Since every bead has an even melting point with the Cricut Mini. It's just really fantastic. And even though this thing is small, it really does a fine job heating. It's amazing that it gets up to 400 degrees. It really is such a small package for some amazing heat production. So that side's done. Now I'm going to take my board, and I'm going to flip it off, and I'm going to iron the back side of the Ninja. By the way, if you are getting value out of this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more perler beading content. I really appreciate you. Thank you for checking me out. Thanks for being a part of the perler beading community. I really appreciate it. Love perler beading. Been doing it for over 2 years. Really relaxing to me. Alright, and it looks like he is ironed through. And he is ready for a book. Alright, so it looks like a Mega Man has appeared on my super board here. So I am going to iron him with the bigger iron, the 7 by 3.5. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on here to the 3rd heat setting. And it's going to take about 4 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to iron this Mega Man. While I'm waiting for the heat press to heat up, let's take a look how Ninja turned out with the Cricut Mini. So he's looking fantastic. You can see that all of the beads melted together very nicely on both sides. The Cricut Mini does an outstanding job with even heating. Okay, the bigger heat press has now been heated up. Let's see how quickly this heat press heats up this perler. So what I like to do with the bigger one is just leave it there for about 10 seconds or so, right in the middle of the perler, and you can see that he's actually heated up quite a bit. Zoom in a little bit so you can see better, but he is almost done. It's got a little bit on the side there, and a great thing about this heat press is that you can do those details pretty quickly. So I can lift up the back and iron the top. It's just amazing the detail ironing that you can do here. And this is a perler that would have taken longer with the smaller one. So you have to just take into account what kind of perler projects are you working on, what do you need for your project. I love using both of these because they take care of pretty much anything that I'm doing. And he is ironed. Check this out. I've got a piece of cardboard. I'm going to put the cardboard on the perler, hold on to it, and flip. And then take your board off, and your perler is held together very nicely. Take out the cardboard, and now you're ready to iron the back side just like that. I really love doing that because it takes any frustrations out of the mix when you are flipping that project. Highly recommend you do that. So I'm just going to glide this heat press over the project. It does what it's supposed to do. I hope this encourages you to check out these heat presses because they really do the job with perler beading. Frustration-free experience. So there he goes. He's all done. So I just wanted to show you what this Mega Man looked like. We ironed this guy with the bigger heat press, and he is looking really great. That heat press does such a great job with the bigger size. He is looking amazing. As far as prices go on these two heat presses, the Cricut Mini tends to be around the $39 to $49 mark, and the bigger one, surprisingly, is actually not much more than the Cricut Mini, so about $55 for the other unbranded heat press. I hope this video has helped you to realize that heat presses are really great tools, especially for perler beading, that the clothes iron needs to go back to what it was meant to do, which is to iron clothes. And I hope it encourages you to take a look at the Cricut Mini and the bigger heat presses out there. There are lots of options, so make sure you check them out. The links are in the description below for the current Amazon prices. So that's all I have for this video. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. And until then, happy beading.